It's been a wild and crazy start to the U.S. Open this year, and a couple of losers from the draw have really messed up my draw. The accuracy is already down significantly from Wimbledon's draw, and I'm not very happy about that. In fact, Hubie Hurkacz, who was this close to losing, was almost permanently banned from this show. We would never speak his name again if he had lost that match. Of course, he came back and won in 5 sets, so lucky for Hubie. Doobie. Speaking of doobies, big news on that at the U.S. Open this year. But first, let's look at things thus far in pictures. Après le photo. Carlos Alcaraz is back. Not much of a match. We didn't get to see him play very much because Dominic Kepfer was. We got a lot of Dominics, a lot of success for guys who speak German with the first name Domi. He was not one of them. Dominic Kepfer had some kind of ankle injury early in the match, and Alcaraz quickly dismissed him before he retired early in the second set. No, but the big news from Carlos Alcaraz is that he's wearing the sleeveless shirt a la Rafa Nadal style. I would show you the look right here, but my muscles are too big to pull the sleeves up. Even bigger news than that, my boyfriend, Novak Djokovic, is back to his rightful place in the world. That is number 1 in the world. Oh, don't believe me? Take a look. I met Novak Djokovic while in Cincinnati, and he liked me so much that not only did he give me a hug, like in this picture here, he also held hands with me while singing the Livin' La Vida Djoker song in this picture, as you can see there. Obviously, I'm just joking. Me and Novak Djokovic could never be boyfriends because, unfortunately, we're both heterosexuals. Speaking of heterosexual, indeed, Jannik Sinner has brought back the man bag. He made a lot of news with it at Wimbledon, and now he has the U.S. Open version. Comment below what you think of the man bag. I personally hate it. And finally, another picture. John McEnroe, my favorite commentator, is out with the dreaded COVID-19. I think John's going to be fine. He might even make it back towards the end of the U.S. Open to cover it. But it's going to be pretty sad if we don't get to hear John McEnroe's brilliance in the commentary booth during this major. But more worried about John McEnroe, who I am more worried about, is my personal friends, some other people I ran into in Cincinnati, and that is the Brothers on Tennis. The Brothers on Tennis recently interviewed Johnny Mac, as you can see here.
Hey everyone, Bryce from Brothers on Tennis,
and I'm just crossing my fingers and praying to the gods that Bryce and Isaac don't come down with the COVID-19 after being in contact with Johnny Mac. But that's enough about that. We've got bigger hoobies to doobie, or doobies to hoobies, shall I say. Several players have been complaining about the smell of marijuana smoke, and we dug deep in the news articles out there to further investigate this, get to the bottom of this mystery. Why would it smell like marijuana at the U.S. Open? We're going to try to figure it out right now. From the Mirror, Alexander Zverev adds to the U.S. Open theory. It's a theory. What? It's a mystery. It's a theory. It's a conundrum. Why would there be marijuana smells in New York City? We continue. He adds to the theory that is making tennis players uncomfortable in New York. By the way, I got the printer to work. Sorry for the eco-friendly fans out there, but I'm going to be crumpling up papers and hitting them at the camera just like the good old days. I'm happy to bring that back to the show. Court 17 definitely smells like, hence the thumbnail on this video, Snoop Doggy Dogg's living room, says Sasha Zverev. He said it in English, but we added a little bit of German flavor in the title of that thumbnail. Oh my God, it's everywhere. The whole court smells like weed, says Sasha Zverev. In fact, Dominic Thiem added, Spielplatz Nummer 17 smells like Snoop Doggy Hund ins Wohnzimmer. These comments came a day after world number 8 Maria Sakkari spoke to the chair umpire about it during her first round match. The smell, oh my gosh, I think it's from the park, she said, alluding to Corona Park. Hold on. Surrey, note to self, when arriving in New York for the U.S. Open semifinals, visit Corona Park, bring Bargeld. Alluding to Corona Park, which sits adjacent to Court 17. After raising those complaints while 4-1 up during the first set of her opening game, the day went from bad to worse for Greece's 2021 U.S. Open semifinalist. That early lead that she had went up in smoke. That's great writing. Sakkari lost 6-4, 6-4 in straight sets to Spain's Rebecca Masarova. Speaking to reporters afterwards, she again addressed the distinct scent, which she did clarify. It is weed, in fact. Sometimes you smell food. Sometimes you smell cigarettes. Sometimes you smell weed. I mean, it's something we cannot control because we're in an open space. There's a park behind and people can do whatever they want there. It continues. There was a lot of stuff about this today. If you look up tennis headlines, this is pretty much all you find in the tennis news. As a result, she was not willing to use this as an excuse. It sounds like a bit of an Ausrede to me. At least Dominic Thiem would think so. For a third straight early Grand Slam exit. What a shame. You don't really think about it because all you care about is just to win the match, said Sakkari, admitting she was already ready after noticing it on Sunday while practicing on court 17. She already knew what to expect going into the match. I smelled it, but that was it. It wasn't something that I paid attention to. While it was enough for her to bring to the umpire's attention, she is far from the first to do so. Sakkari, a semifinalist at the U.S. Open 2 years ago, said the smell didn't affect her while playing. Still, some fans at Flushing Meadows had little patience for the notion that a top player would be thrown off mentally by the smell of pot, marijuana. Here's a quote from a fan, a resident of Queens, someone in the area who wasn't a pro tennis player. "It's New York. It's everywhere," said fan Diane Patrizio of Southampton, New York. She said this as she stood in line to enter court 17. "What are you going to do? There's so many distractions at the U.S. Open. To hone in on that one thing and let it rattle you, you just can't do that." That's what she said. On Tuesday, security guard Ricky Rojas was working the gate outside of court 17 the day before. He said he took a break in the park around the time of Sakkari's match, and there was definitely a pot smell going on. But he noted that while he enforces a strict no-smoking pot policy inside the tennis complex, the park outside is outside of my jurisdiction. And he, in fact, added that it was definitely not coming from court 17. It was definitely coming from Corona Park. Note to self, visit Corona Park. It is outside of security's jurisdiction. Rojas said that the stench of weed has become a fact of life for all New Yorkers after the state legalized recreational cannabis in 2021. You turn every corner and you smell it. It's part of our world now. You got to get used to it. So, what would he tell Sakkari or any other player who complains about pot during a world-class competition? Try it. Maybe it'll help you relax. The schedule is crazy for me this week. I don't know when I'll make videos. I'm just going to try to squeeze them in whenever I can. Typically, I wouldn't make a show in the middle of match play, like it's the beginning of the matches today. But this is the only time I could make it happen. Who knows when I'll even be able to edit and put this thing up. Put this up on the screen from Tennis Infinity and Beyond. Talk about it after the match. Advises Medvedev on Rune's complaints about court at the U.S. Open. Took it out of context a little. Doesn't sound quite like that when we read the exact quote from Danny Medvedev. I mean, I can understand his frustration. I can understand why the tournament put him there. The thing is that you always want to, even if this happens to you, you always probably want to talk about it after the match. I guess he kind of did say it. Because especially if you win, because then it's a little easier to kind of push your way through, let's say. Doesn't want to make an enemy out of Rune, just being a nice guy in general, as Danny Medvedev does. He continued, but if he continues the way he's playing right now, he's going to only be playing on big courts. So yeah, Holger again. If Holger stays where he is, plays as good as he does, he's going to play more on the big courts. Not going to have to worry about this in the future, thinks Danny Medvedev. Anyways, no surprise there. I think this is less to do with the fact that Holger was mad about the court they put him on, and more to do with the fact that he just threw his back out in Cincy. That kind of takes a while to heal from. Remember, 2017, Roger Federer, I know he's much older at that point than Rune is today, but still, a back injury is a back injury. I'd say neck and back are the two things that mess you up the most when you're playing. Obviously, like some kind of injury like an ankle roll, although these freak young athletes usually can recover from an ankle roll and keep playing. We've seen it in the past, at least. But remember Taylor Fritz when he beat injured Rafa, Indian Wells last year? He had an ankle injury and didn't even think he could play. But other than, injuries where you just can't move your legs anymore, I'd say neck and back, really hard to feel comfortable and play tennis with any kind of neck or back issues. Anyway, so I think it's mostly the back for Holger Rune, and I'm not too worried about him. It does bust up my draw a little bit, but I didn't have him going super far, so it doesn't ruin it the way it would have if Hubie Hurkacz had lost last night. Moving on, let's do a couple of comments, get these out of the way right now. Notveilik says, I absolutely adore Djokovic. I don't like the portion of his fans that keep saying how hated he is. He's not hated. Where are those haters anyway? You don't need those imagined haters to magnify your own adoration. Let's just talk about how amazing he is and stop talking about the alleged haters. Okay, I don't know where this guy lives. Maybe on the moon. They're like all haters, right? Like, put it this way. Pete teaches tennis clinics year-round. You know, people come from all over the world to train with Peter Freeman, tennis teaching genius and guru from Crunch Time Coaching. And Pete will always ask people, you know, who are their favorite players. And he usually, you know, because Pete's noticed this for years and years, he'll usually want to, you know, ask people, why don't you like Djokovic? And almost always, the majority of the people say they don't like Djokovic. There's a guy, he's an Aussie guy. I followed him on Instagram. He's pretty funny. And he does all kinds of, you know, comedy stuff where he goes around, a lot of man on the street stuff. He goes around interviewing people and doing crazy stuff and getting reactions, you know. And he did some videos at Wimbledon this year that were really funny. You might have seen him, guy from Australia, posting some videos at Wimbledon, you know, talking to fans, asking fans questions. And one video he did was like, you know, he would say like, how do you think Floyd Mayweather is going to do? Is he going to make it to the semifinals this year at Wimbledon again? Do you think he's going to defend his title? And people would be like, yeah, I absolutely think Floyd Mayweather is going to do it again. So one of them was like Dua Lipa. He said, how do you think Dua Lipa is going to do at the Wimbledon this year? Do you think she can win it? And like, oh, yes, I think Dua Lipa is going to do great at Wimbledon this year. He's kind of illustrating like, okay, a lot of these fans are just showing up at Wimbledon. They don't really know anything about tennis at all. You know, stuff like that. He'd do videos like that. And one of them that I remember very, 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 very well was, what do you think of Novak Djokovic? That was it. He asked some people in the stands. He asked some people in line to get a Pimm's, a beer, or whatever. He asked people all over Wimbledon grounds. And the majority of people said they don't like Novak Djokovic. So it's not like a crazy theory of mine or something. It's not to build up adoration. Anyway, I thought this comment was shocking. Do comment below if you agree with this guy and you don't know where Djokovic haters exist. You've never seen them before. Do comment below if I know someone's going to comment. How about the commentary staff on any channel, any major network that covers tennis? How about the people that commentate on it? Right? Yeah, that's not entirely true, but you can find Djokovic haters everywhere. And the more and more he has been winning, the less people in the tennis biz have disliked him and given him the respect. In fact, I should say, like people like John McEnroe, former players, they've always loved Djokovic and had a lot of respect for him. Moving on to Haider Raha. I made a mistake. 2 people pointed it out at least. Stan beat Fed at Roland Garros in 2015. I couldn't remember when Stan beat Roger at a major. I remembered him beating him at Monte Carlo a couple times. He's beat him 3 times, so all 3 are on clay. Stan has never beat Roger on any surface other than clay. He beat Nadal on clay. He beat Nadal on hard court. 2015, obviously, he wins the French Open and beats Djokovic that year. Haider added, the age gap difference between Fed versus Rafanole as compared to Novak versus Alcaraz. Well, it makes Djokovic look stronger in terms of difference, but Fed had 2 of them, and them 2 are the 2 of the 3 GOATs. So take your pick. It's a pretty good point. I'm still going to say it's amazing that this guy's having a rivalry with someone almost 20 years younger than him. Yeah, you could say a 5-year and 6-year age gap with Djokovic and Nadal. Maybe that's worse. We'll have to reconsider when we fast forward 20 years in the future and see what Alcaraz's numbers, what they are and how they stack up. Might be Alcaraz is part of the Big Four, or Alcaraz is the Big One when he has 30 majors. Who knows? I'm not saying that's going to happen, but we don't know. The Gray Ghost added, false. Stan dismantled Roger at the 2015 French Quarter. Yeah, it was a straight sets victory for Stan the man. All right, let's move on to my draw. I do have a couple things here. Let's add this. I thought this was first. This Alex Mickelson guy. I had him losing to the more experienced Ramos Vinolas. Let's play this. The surprising thing about this guy, and have you ever seen Ramos Vinolas smash a racket before? I haven't. He really got under his skin, and I didn't know much about Alex Mickelson's game except that he's 6'4", he's a big hitter. And I thought, well, that must be what he's all about, is a big power game. But really, the guy plays really good defense. For 6'4", he moves incredibly well. He has a really good backhand. And he's just a crafty player in general. Plus, he's 6'4". He's got a pretty big serve, pretty big forehand. I think that'll be a good mix for him. So happy to see that guy. He's come out of nowhere. Both of his parents were Division I college tennis players, I found out in my research about this feller. Guy absolutely loves tennis, and he's a coin collector. That's his hobby. He collects coins. I am a coin collector as well. I read that he has $10,000 worth of rare coins. I have nothing like that, but I still like coins. I have some wheat pennies and some coins from different countries. Anyways, let's one more thing before we look at the draw.
I read a bunch of these like
From our
so-called
personal friend of the
tennis
show, like the
experts and
brothers
their
on tennis. We're
opinions,
friends with Mr. Slice at the Slice Tennis.
and it's just insane. Like it annoys me in a way because it's just. I feel like if you haven't played professionally in the past, most of them have no clue what they're talking about. Like their opinions, for fans, if anyone listens to what I'm saying, I mean, I would just not take more than maybe 5% of what so-called tennis experts on Twitter kind of say as good info, because it's just not the way it goes. And
It's not the way it goes. Listen to
I
Casper
could
Ruud,
probably
he
reply
knows.
to many other things, but I just leave it because it's
That's
just
enough of that. Yeah, no surprise there. In fact, I think all of you watching today at Coffee Break Tennis, the home of the highest IQ tennis fans in the world, surely Casper Ruud is not talking about any of you or myself, who has expert opinions, unlike the so-called tennis Twitter experts, ex-experts, whatever they're supposed to call them. Hopefully we can all learn from Casper Ruud here and apply this to everyone on Twitter. Anyone who's tweeting and claims to be an expert, maybe take what they say with a pinch of salt, a grain of salt. How does that expression go? I don't know. I can't remember. All right, that's enough of that. Let's get into the draw. My draw has been wrecked. On the bottom half, I got 18 out of 32 correct. Just comparing that to Wimbledon, on the bottom half, I had 21 out of 32. On the top half, I had 23 out of 32 at Wimbledon. Here, I have a measly 17 out of 32. I combined for 44 out of 64 first-round picks at Wimbledon this year. I have 35 out of 64. It's better than half. And, of course, the most important things are who wins it. My winner almost won it at Wimbledon. I think my winner will win here at the U.S. Open. Who wins it and who's in these crucial, round of 16 quarterfinal, semifinal spots? I am confident that a lot of my picks will still do very well here. Anyways, I promised to crumple things up. It's not wasting it if you make the best use of it. Let's go through this draw really quick. Hit the music. We got to get out of here. I'm going to make my excuse as fast as possible. I got to be on court teaching very, very soon. Alcaraz came through. No surprise there. Lloyd Harris came through. I got that right. Here's where things go wrong. Jordan Thompson with an injury. Can you really fault me for that? Boatman hasn't been winning hardly anything at all, but he's through. He's going to be playing Dirty Dan, who did come through. I like Dirty Dan to still go to round 3 as I predicted and get Alcaraz, although maybe Boatman just needed to win a match and get it rolling again. He can be dangerous. Talon Greekspor, surprised there, he lost. But you know what, Arthur Feast, this guy's really good. He was due for something big to happen. So 5-setter there. I don't feel too bad when my pick is wrong and it was a 5-set close match. Most of these guys who had bad hardcourt records that I said wouldn't win, almost all of them won, so that's on me. Kubler did not win. It was Arnaldi. Kakinakis, he can be so good, and you can see him really bring it against, higher-ranked players, kind of like Kyrgios. And then he can lose matches where you just can't believe that he didn't find a way to win. Anyways, Kakinakis is out there. Scam Nori won. We'll see how long he survives. Greekspor will not be taking him down. Maybe Arthur Feast will do it. Here's to Arthur Feast, we hope. Sasha Zverev came through. All the commentators seem to really agree with me and like Zverev's chances this year. Of course, he has a tough draw. He's going to have to go through Alcaraz. I think he loses to Alcaraz. Most experts agree, but people are saying he's playing very well, as I have noticed. But Altmaier, bad hardcourt record, he won. Andy Murray, pretty wild match, actually. It was pretty entertaining stuff with Moutet. There was this new, I don't even know what the hell it is. They call it the VARS system or something like that, some kind of video review system. It didn't work. It was, I shouldn't say obviously, it looked like a double bounce for Moutet, but he was saying that he got it. It was really hard to tell, and of course the system crapped out and they couldn't overrule the call. They couldn't even confirm, so they just had to go with the original call from the umpire's eyes. Grigor Dimitrov came through barely. Had to save match points in a 10-set, 5th-set tiebreak, 10-point 5th-set tiebreak. Exciting match, though. I said Dimitrov will beat Murray. I'm a little worried now because Dimitrov just went through hell. Echeverry, terrible hardcourt average, but he won. Wawrinka, happy to see he won pretty easy. He better get to the third round. Sinner, despite his man bag, looks really good. I still like my pick. Sinner, maybe he'll beat Zverev. That's a tough pick there. But, of course, I'd like to see Sinner win. I really like his game. It's very pleasing to me. The strokes are so smooth. Medvedev came through, no problem. Very easy match. That Attila Balaz guy, he was injured. Purcell didn't get through. Similar game to Christopher O'Connell, actually. The Duck was Ducky came to the Aussie player, Duckworth. He replaced Kei Nishikori. Nishikori was not healthy, couldn't play. Sebastian Baez had a pretty good year. Borna Coric going down. I guess, how can you predict what Coric is going to do these days? You know, in the old days, that would have been a guaranteed win for him. Lucas van Aschat, you know, maybe I fell in love with the guy because I watched him playing at the club where me and Pete did the clinic. His game is good. I should have remembered that some of the results I saw him having were on clay. Anyways, he went down to Nicholas Jerry. Anyone with a big serve is doing pretty well. The court seems to be pretty fast. And it's early days, too, so this is when the court will be the slowest for the tournament. Ramos Vinolas, we talked about that a little bit. I like this Alex Mickelson guy, and I like his chances to keep going. I hope he does. I understand Brad Gilbert had predicted that he'll do something like what Blake Shelton did last year. That looks to be the case so far. Lajovic lost to Wu Yibing. Demon, he came through. Kachanov, still not healthy, obviously. Lost to Michael Momo. Isner, really nice to see him win. Draper won. I think Isner will keep going. At least over Michael Moe. Then he's going to lose to Hooby Dooby. Who knows, though? Hooby Dooby really almost let us down. Ugo Humbert, destroyed by Matteo Berrettini. Like I said, big power games like Tsitsipas, the guy he's playing right now, Dominik Strucker from die Schweiz. Big game and a lefty, able to take the ball. You know, we all know that Tsitsipas on a fast court can be in danger on the backhand. If you hit with big power right at his backhand and rush him, serve, forehand, whatever, Stricker's doing it off the forehand and off of the lefty serve. He's really having a hard time, but luckily for him, a couple double faults. This is not as good play in the tiebreak, and Tsitsipas has won a couple tiebreaks in a row, but he still has to break the guy's serve, you would think, to win this match. Maybe not. Maybe he'll get him another tiebreak. Diego Schwartzman was out. Not too big of a surprise. Arthur Rinderknecht has some big power on this court. That really helps. Rublev didn't even have to play Emil, so there was no rematch. He had Kazo instead. And I like Rublev to keep going. Maybe he will beat Hooby Dooby Humbert. Running out of time. I'm going to go through here really fast. Casper Ruud, a little bit of trouble. Hopefully he can find things. He's a very likable guy. He did manage to win. Marty Fucsovics did win as I predicted. Took out Sebi Korda. I think Marty Fucsovics might take out Ruud. We'll see if Ruud can get good enough by the time he faces him. The Wolfmeister did not win. Let's see any results. Richard Gasquet fought so hard to come back and lose in the fifth. What a head scratcher. Crazy match. Don't feel too bad about that. TFO looked pretty good. Thomas Paul looked pretty good. Roman Safin looked pretty good. Juan Manuel Cerundolo, Francisco Cerundolo's little brother, came through over Ilya Ivashka. Dominic Thiem, very happy for him. Shocked that Bublik didn't win that. Of course, Bublik had some offensive comments about Dominic Thiem. Dominic Thiem played it as the nice guy, as always, and said, like, well, I'd like to know exactly what the translation was before I condemn him to saying these things about me. Something like that. Anyways, he said, like, I don't want to play disabled players who decide to come back. Guy's angry, I understand that, but yeah, a little bad. Big one I got messed up here. Everyone's talking about how good this Yuri Leheshka guy is, and every time I pick him to win at a tournament, he doesn't. He got destroyed 6-3, 6-3, 6-3 against Aslan Karatsev. Karatsev is so good. He's kind of Agassi-esque. Can take the ball so early, such clean ball striking, so good on hard courts. That was a stupid pick on my part. Holger Rune's out. We already talked about that. Tsitsipas, who knows where he is right now. He might have lost. He was winning. Good to see Eubanks come through. Djokovic looks awesome. The draw's looking pretty easy for Djokovic. I'm feeling good about all of my other picks. We'll be back as soon as humanly possible. See ya!